Did you feel it? That's where the healing happens. When we lift ourselves up to that vibration. This month's whole theme, starting with Easter, has been be infused with Spirit. And that feeling we just got then by being broken open, either in God bumps or just the feeling of the presence, is when we touch the unrealized potential of possibilities, the unrealized good that is ever present. So I thank you, James, for sharing from the depth of who you are, that we could be broken open and feel that experience. So in every moment, we have this experience of being in the physical, visible, material world and being in the invisible world of the divine. Wow, how good it is. And there's only one, it's only one world, but it has these two parts that we get to experience and live. And so often, because Plato called this physical, visible world the world of the eyeball. And we listen so often to our eyeballs as telling us what's true and real. And we get caught up in this material world, thinking it's what is real. And we start stumbling around in the material world and forget there's a power so much greater at work always. Not separate, but part of who we are. But when our eyeballs are doing the talking, we start developing habits, grooves in our mind, ways of living and being that either help us make sense of this material world that doesn't make sense all the time. Would you agree with me there? It doesn't always make sense. I don't get it sometimes. But we try to make sense of it. Or, on the other hand, we want to be comfortable. And once we've established these grooves in our mind, our way of thinking, it's pretty easy to stay there because we don't have to do anything but be the same. Yet there is a world calling us, a power, an urge calling us to do something more. Yet, how many of you want to be happy? Yes! And joyful and express life. Yet if we want to live a positive experience, we have to be willing to let go of our negative responses to life. We have to be willing to let go of those experiences that keep us stuck in the problem and not the possibility. And so often our stubbornness just gets in the way. And even though we know there's a doorway between the human mind and the divine mind, to get through that doorway, we have to leave behind some things. We can't drag a whole bunch of negativity into that part of our life. So I want to show you a pretty neat visual that came from Plato. This visual is not from Plato. But it's about what he says about these two worlds. Because the two worlds, which Jesus and Plato and all of the great philosophers talked about, is they're not separate. They don't fight. They work together. And Plato talked about these two worlds. The invisible world is like the longitudinal thread on a loom. And I looked it up last night, and it was really interesting and good message for us. These longitudinal threads called the, I forget what they're called, warps? There's so many different terms here. But they're the long ones. The warps, they're the long ones. And to be put on the loom, they need to be stretched and they need to be strong. So our connection with Spirit needs to be stretched and it needs to be strong in order for us to really weave together these two lives to make the healing that we desire possible. So we stretch our connection to Spirit and we remain strong and steadfast in that. And then the woof, which is the widthwise threads, whether woofs or woofs or whatever. You can tell I'm a weaver from a long time ago. So get me out of this one, somebody, please. Anyway, these ones that go like this. The war has to be lifted to fit this thread in. Spirit needs to be lifted to fit this thread in. Now, can you imagine if on the lengthwise or widthwise or whatever thread, that it was really filled with a bunch of stuff and got really fat because it had so much stuff it was trying to carry into the beautiful lifting of spirit? Can you imagine that? That's what we do. We load ourselves up with stuff and then expect to be able to get through this doorway to the invisible realm. Mark Nepo, one of my favorite contemporary mystics, told a story in one of his books, and I don't remember which book, but it was a beautiful example that he says he carries around with him as a reminder of just this. He said he was sitting with a friend on a snowy day, and they were just reminiscing. And his friend Robert was talking about an experience he'd had. He said, I had it 2 springs ago, but I haven't forgotten it because it's stuck with me. And it stuck with Mark Nepo also because he says he carries it in his pocket as a reminder. And Robert was saying, I decided I wanted to paint the family room. I got that urge, I wanted to do it, so the next day I got up early, went to the hardware store, I got the paint, I got the drop cloth, I got the stir stick, I got the brush, and he said, I got one of those brushes, it's like a disposable brush, and no matter how hard you try, it doesn't get soft after you use it, but I got that one because I was going to paint the whole room. I was going to do it then. And he said, so I decided, I got to my house, and I was stirring the paint outside, and then I was going to go into the family room, so I loaded up the paint, the drop cloth, I had the brush in my mouth, and I went to get in the door. And I was trying to get the door open, and I had all this stuff I was carrying with me, and I was just trying to open the door, and I almost got it. And then I fell backwards. And all over me was red paint. And he said he started laughing. Now, he didn't laugh then. But he laughs now because he said, how silly was it that I thought I could carry all that in the door? How silly it is of us to think we can make it up to that realm of the all-good, all-knowing, the vibration of lightness and love and joy and healing and possibility and unrealized potential and unexpressed creativity with this baggage we carry of these old, sad experiences, these negative things that we haven't immersed in unlimited thought. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? I hope so, because I do. I mean, not for you, for me. But yeah, I know. It's like we try to carry all that in, and the healing doesn't happen because we're carrying all this old stuff with us that doesn't let us through the doorway. We have to be willing to let go of what no longer works, whether it's a habit or an old thought, and we need to absolutely take time and infuse that thought with the unlimited thoughts of goodness and possibility and joy and understanding. And if you're not quite sure, life is a mirror. You know that. So if you're not quite sure where you're stuck, you can just kind of look at your life. Oh, I'm doing really well in this area and this. Oh, this is where I need to start thinking some more of those unlimited thoughts, releasing, letting go, being in that beautiful understanding there is more. What we teach, now, Plato had a line that he used for his description of life, and he called it the divided line. He had an A and a B and a C and a D. And the A and B were the visible world of illusion and belief, and the C and the D were the world of the divine and the reason and the intelligence of God. And we have a circle that we use where we bring spirit into form. But we plant these creative ideas in this law, the law of correspondence, the law of cause and effect, the law of reciprocity. We plant it into this medium like a seed is planted in soil. And depending on the quality of the soil depends on how quickly the seed grows or if it does grow and how well it blooms. Well, that soil is the subconscious mind of our thoughts and our experiences that we need to keep diluting in all that is good, the unlimited potential that is at hand. How's your soil? Well, the good thing is every moment is a possibility for something new. Every moment we have the ability to heal and change and grow into a greater expression of spirit, of life, of love, whatever it is. The Hindus have a beautiful invocation they say before their sacred rituals or their prayers. And it's a time to just surrender. And they say, lead me from the unreal to the real. Lead me from the unreal, which is this physical realm, as real as it seems. Lead me from there to what is real and true and good. And I have a quote from Ernest Holmes I'd like to share with you that expresses that same understanding, where we want to go to what we call as first cause. First cause. And Griffin, could we have that quote, please? First cause is the spiritual realm. And I want to read this to you. And you process it and feel it and see where your level of understanding and acceptance is. The world is all that it appears to be. Oh, but it's also so much more. I'm going to read that right now again because I want us to melt into that understanding. The world is all that it appears to be, but it is also so much more. There is an unseen cause, the intelligence or purpose in and through all things. Ephemeral and intangible as it may seem, this cause, which can only be described as form of thought, is the basic reality of the universe. The basic reality of the universe. Such thought is the action or function of a supreme consciousness which may be defined as mind, spirit, or God. The thoughts of God are unrealized potential. The thoughts of God are goodness and joy and beauty and love. And the law, of course, knows to give back to us exactly what we put into it. Our thoughts, the form of thoughts, aren't always that pure and refined. But be ye transformed by the renewing of our mind. If you leave with nothing else today but taking a constricted, congested experience and absolutely marinate it in unlimited thought and possibility, marinate it in the unrealized potential that is the truth of all life, just let it soak there and be patient. Ernest Holmes says, we need persistent constructive thought, and then we just need to do three things. Practice, practice, practice. Consistent, persistent, constructive thought. We also are told we need to court the presence of the divine. We can't be bystanders. We must actively participate with this energy and spirit that we call God, unrealized potential, unlimited creativity, beauty, joy, goodness, whatever. How many of you have a big enthusiasm for God? Well, I'll tell you what, the big enthusiasm, if you don't know, I kind of asked you that unfairly because I didn't give you the test first. I told you to remember the experience when we hear a beautiful song, when we can be just broken open in the presence of God. We can get broken open in the presence of beauty and joy and love and goodness. When was the last time your heart melted because of something kind or compassionate or beautiful? When was the last time that your eyes filled with tears because of the same thing? Something beautiful, something compassionate, something deeply caring. When was the last time you were absolutely in the presence of God because of the beauty that surrounded you? You could feel it. It was like awe-inspiring, living in the awe of life. Or the last time you were present for a miracle. Something your human eyeball, your human mind couldn't understand, but the heart knew. That's when you are in the presence of God, in the enthusiasm for God. When you're in prayer and you don't know the difference, the separation between you and the prayer. There is no separation. That's being in that presence of enthusiasm. So for those of you that want more love, more joy, more possibility, more peace, more happiness in your life, which I think by that beginning we all do, it's about really getting more alive in life, participating greatly, replacing those old habits we talked about that keep us stuck in mediocrity. You know what I'm talking about, doing the same old thing over and over again and expecting different results. You know that one. By replacing those with meaningful practice, bringing consciousness to what we do, bringing awareness. Great book, After the Ecstasy Comes the Laundry, and doing that with just the same. That's a book title, you guys. It's a book, okay? But just forget that one. I'll think of something different. But, washing the dishes with intention and focus. And that's replacing just the habitual thinking with something new. So unwrap yourselves, open yourselves up. We're going to close. It's Healing Sunday. So we're going to close ourselves today. You told me you wanted more happiness, more joy, more love, more light in your life. We're going to do it right now. We're going to do it together. And when you're in a consciousness, a group consciousness with everybody holding the consciousness together, it happens more quickly, more easily, because we're in this together. The power that we get from being in spiritual community and joining together in the power and presence of God's infinite love, the goodness that's ever present and surrounds us and infuses us all that's here in this moment, is that power that I simply am inviting each and every one of us to breathe into, to melt into. And just as I speak this word for myself, I know it for each and every person, that in this power and presence of the all-good, infinite power of love and creativity and joy and peace and happiness and beauty that is present within me and without me, I simply choose and accept this moment to be the moment to release my belief in limitation, to release my belief that it is this physical world that is real, and to know there's a power so much greater at work right now and present in each and everyone's life, calling and directing each one of us towards that unrealized potential for joy and beauty and happiness. And melting into the vibration of this goodness that's here for us right now. And the willingness to keep our thoughts focused and consistent with life and consistent with good and love and more love and happiness and joy. Recognizing and knowing that sad times come, grief happens, yes, it has its place to help break us open to something more. But knowing there's a joy and a goodness that resides within all of us always. And so I know for each and every person here now, being open and available is a recognition and awareness that everything we need is supplied right here and right now. For the more, there is more, for more good, more understanding, more comprehension, more joy, knowing it and feeling it. I simply know for each of us that as we expand our hearts and minds and open that door from the physical and visible world to the invisible world that is infinite and unlimited, there is a new possibility being opened. And as we open it here and now, I just know in this moment, as the door is flung open, we are each infused with the knowing that we matter, that we make a difference, that we are never, ever, ever alone, that we reside right now and always in the presence of Spirit, that each and everything in our life right here and now is on purpose as we grow and learn and become in alignment with the ever-expanding good and joy of God. So take this moment and just breathe in more beauty. Breathe in more peace. more possibility right now, more joy, more happiness. Feel the vibration that resonates in, through, and as each of us right now as we open to something more. Nothing's changed in this moment, but our receptivity to the good that is at hand. Nothing has changed, but our openness and willingness to let go of what no longer works and be receptive to the good and the joy and the beauty and the possibility and that unrealized potential that is at hand for everyone, always, infinitely. And as you breathe in that last breath of just being in this meditative mode and come back to the aliveness of life, I invite you to repeat after me. Right here and now, I accept more love in my life. I accept more beauty. I accept more peace. In this moment, I choose to be happy. Not just a little bit, but a whole lot happy. That's right. And in this moment, I allow God to be God as me. I accept the good that is present now and always. And I share it joyfully. And so it is.